Hello and welcome to Sudha's Apparel Patterns. In this video, I will show you how to cut and stitch a one-piece Katori sari blouse. If you want to know how to make the pattern of this blouse, then click on the blog link given below on the description box. To begin with, I will show you how to place the pattern on fabric. I have used a fabric with total length of 150 centimeters and open width of this fabric is 32 inches. It is a basic cotton fabric which is used for making sari blouses. On the top part of the fabric, if you see, I have placed the center back on fold and even the two Basque pieces on fold. And I have placed the Katori pieces on cross grain line. The orange grain line markings are shown on the draft. On the bottom piece of the fabric, I have placed the side panel of the front of the blouse and the sleeve draft. I have also shown the piece marking on each of the draft and even the dart markings are shown on the draft. Once the draft is placed on the fabric, we will now mark the seam allowance. To mark the seam allowance, we will begin with the back first. So if you see, I have marked a seam allowance of 1 centimeter on the neckline, shoulder and armhole and the hemline of back and 3.5 centimeters on the side seam. Then if you see on the Basque pieces, the seam allowance marking is 1 centimeter on the center front and on the curved part of the Basque, and on the side seam again the seam allowance marking is 3.5 centimeters. Both the Katori pieces which are placed on the cross grain of the fabric, the seam allowance throughout is 1 centimeter. Now on the bottom piece of the fabric where the side panel and the sleeve is placed, for the side panel the seam allowance again on the armhole, shoulder and some part of the neckline, and on the inner curve of the side panel the seam allowance marking is 1 centimeter. Even on the base of the side panel the seam allowance marking is 1 centimeter, and again the side seam marking seam allowance is 3.5 centimeters. Now coming to the sleeve draft, the hem of the sleeve draft is including the seam allowance of 3 centimeters. So you don't have to keep an extra seam allowance at the hemline of the sleeve. On the two sides of the side seam of the sleeve, again the seam allowance is 3.5 centimeters, and the top part of the sleeve, the seam allowance I have kept is 1 centimeter. Once the seam allowance is marked on all the drafts, we will now cut the pieces of the front, back and the sleeve. Once you have cut the drafts on the fabric, or before cutting the drafts on the fabric, do transfer all the darts on all the 4 Katori pieces of the front and the back darts. You can do that by extending the dart legs with the chalk as shown in the image. Once these pieces are cut, we will now begin with making of the front Katori piece. So if you see over here, I have placed the side panel, the Katori pieces and the two Basques. I will now show you the stitching of the dart of the Katori. So I will remove the Basque pieces and the side panel pieces. And these are the Katori pieces on either sides. Each Katori has got 2 layers of fabric. So in total there are 4 darts that we have to stitch. Since it's a single Katori piece, the dart will be slightly bigger. So this is a center fold line that I have just ironed, and there are slight markings for the outer lines of the dart. Now we will stitch from outer edge to the dart apex and back. So I have begun with stitching from outer edge. I have come to the point. Once you come to the point, pick up the presser foot, turn the fabric and we will again stitch on the same line. So there is no lock stitch for the dart when you're stitching the Katori dart. Same way you will stitch the remaining 3 pieces with the dart. So I have stitched all the 4 Katori darts and placed the darts by ironing them and place them facing opposite directions. So if you see, both the darts are finished from both the sides. Once the darts of the Katoris are stitched, we will now attach the side panel to the Katori pieces. So these are the side panels. Now I will show you how to attach the side panel to the Katori pieces. For this, sandwich the side panel between the 2 Katori pieces and stitch on the curve at 1 centimeter. We have kept a seam allowance of 1 centimeter on the inner side of the side panel. So I am just placing the side panel between the 2 Katori pieces on the curve. Pin it properly before you stitch. So this is the curve that I will stitch on 1 centimeter. Now when you are stitching on curve, see to it that you are holding all the 3 layers, that is the 2 Katori pieces and the 1 side panel in center. Stitch gradually on the curve. And see to it that there are no pleats formed, since there are 3 layers that you are stitching together. So this is the curve that I have stitched. Now after stitching the curve, give slit on the curve at a distance of 2 centimeters. This will give an ease when we remove the side panel out. Now turn inside out and we have to iron on the curve. So this is how I have attached both the side panels to the Katori, and if you see, it is finished from both the sides. After the side panel is attached, we will now attach the base Basque of the front. So this is the Basque. The Basque has got fold at the base. Now I will show you how to attach the Basque to the front. The Basque has got a center fold line. Now just place the Basque in the way I am showing over the front and open the Basque this way, and now I will pin 1 layer of the Basque to the front base. The Basque has got a slight curve near the center front. So right now I am just pinning 1 layer of the Basque to the front base. Once this 1 layer is pinned, open the Basque and start rolling the front from the shoulder till you join both Basque ends. So this way, just start rolling, make a fine roll, and once you reach the end that is pinned, we will keep it on the other open end of the Basque, and now we will pin both the layers of the Basque. When you are pinning it, just see to it that you are not holding the center roll. Now we will stitch on the pinned line. Again, this stitching is on 1 centimeter and it has got a slight curve on the center front side. See to it that you are stitching all the 3 layers, but don't hold the center inner roll. So I have stitched on the curve. Now I have given a some slits on the curve side before I remove the front out. So this way I have removed the Basque out, and iron on the Basque on both sides. So if you see, it is finished from both sides. Same way, attach the other basque to the front base. Once the basque is done, we will now stitch the front button stand. For that, measure the center front and cut straight bands. The neckline will be finished later. The left side band width is 4 centimeters. Just place it on the center front and at the hem fold the band 1 centimeter in and now stitch at 1 centimeter from the outer edge. The right side band width is 5 centimeter. Again at the hem fold the band 1 centimeter and we will again stitch it at 1 centimeter. So this way I have stitched the left side band. If you see, at the hem I have folded it 1 centimeter in. Now iron and fold the left side band completely inside and keep 1 centimeter ready, 2 centimeters ready, 1 centimeter in and do a slip stitch. On the right side band I have again stitched at 1 centimeter, keep 1.5 ready on top and at the bottom, and the remaining 1 centimeter just fold it inside and do a slip stitch or hemming. I will show later in this video how to do the slip stitch. So this way we have finished the front button stand. Now we will finish the back darts and the hemline of the back. So these are the back darts. Again mark a center fold line of the dart and stitch the dart from the outer edge of the dart to the dart apex and back. So even for the back darts there is no lock stitch at the start and end. Once these darts are stitched, iron them facing the side seam. And now we will finish the hemline. For that I have cut a straight band of width 3 centimeters. Place the band at the hem and stitch at 1 centimeter on the right side. Once you have stitched the band on the right side, turn the band completely inside, iron and fold 1 centimeter in, keeping 1 centimeter ready, and do a slip stitch. So this way I have folded in 1 centimeter, keeping 1 centimeter ready, and do a slip stitch. Now we will finish the shoulder with a French seam. So this is the back and this is the front. Keep the dart sides facing each other, that is the inner side of the front and back facing each other, and at the shoulder stitch at 0.5 centimeters this way from the edge on the right side. Once you have stitched at 0.5 centimeters, trim the seam at the center of 0.5. See to it that you don't cut on the stitch line. Once you have trimmed the seam, turn the shoulder to the inner side, iron, fold properly and iron, and stitch at 0.5 from the fold edge. So your French seam on both the shoulders is done. Now we will finish the neckline. For that I have cut bias bands from the remaining fabric with width of each bias band as 3 centimeters. Now I will show you how to make a continuous bias band from these small pieces. Place the band this way, one on top of the other, and stitch from one corner to the other at 1 centimeter. So I will just pin and show you where to do the stitch line. Bias bands have got maximum stretchability. Now we will stitch all the bands in continuation in same way. So this way I have put the stitch line from one corner to other, and whatever corners are coming out, just trim them. So flatten the seam, iron well, and trim the corners that are coming out. Attach the bias bands in continuation in same way. So this is how the stitch line looks on the bias band. So I have attached in continuation. Now once the bias bands are ready, we will cut the bias band straight before placing it on neckline and fold the straight cut 1 centimeter in and place it on the edge of the button stand this way. Now when you are placing the bias band on the neckline, see to it that you don't stretch the fabric, as bias band has got maximum stretchability since it is cut on the diagonal or the cross grain of the fabric. Flatten the seam. See to it that your shoulder seam is facing the back when you're placing the bias band. So this way I have just pinned the bias band. Do fold 1 centimeter in on both sides of the center front and stitch at 1 centimeter. So once you have stitched the bias band at 1 centimeter, give slits at a distance of 2 centimeter on the bias band this way. This helps the bias band to fold in completely inside. Now I will fold the bias band completely inside and keep 1 centimeter ready and 1 centimeter in, and I will do a slip stitch. Now I will show you how to do the slip stitch on the button stand, neckline and the back hem, and even on the sleeve hem. For doing a slip stitch, the fabric is folded at the hem and just start from any one corner, ideally from the right corner if you are right-handed. For doing slip stitch, pick up 2 threads from the base fabric and slip the needle in the fold, top fold this way at 1 centimeter or 0.5 centimeters. Again pick up 2 threads from the base fabric and slip the needle in the fold at 1 centimeter or 0.5 centimeter. So this way you have to finish the hemline with a slip stitch starting from one end to the other. Do the slip stitch on the button stand, on the neckline, on the sleeve hem and on the back hem. So this is how the slip stitch will look on the right side. If you see, there are very small tiny dots that are visible, and the inner side you will see only as if the fabric is just folded. So this is how the slip stitch will look on the right side. Now I have completed the slip stitch on the button stand, on the left side of the button stand, on the right side of the button stand, and on the neckline to finish the small edge at the neckline. And this is how the band will look after doing the slip stitch, and even at the back hemline, the band that was attached, if you see, only small dots are visible. Now we will do the sleeve attachment. Before attaching the sleeve, as said, finish the hemline. So fold in 1 centimeter in and keep 2 centimeter ready and do a slip stitch on the hem of the sleeve. Now once the sleeve hem is finished, we will attach the sleeve to the armhole of the blouse. See to it that your shoulder and your sleeve fold, center fold, is matching each other. When attaching the sleeve, again place the shoulder seam facing back. Place the sleeve on top of the shoulder this way and pin the center fold to the shoulder seam, and then place the curve on either sides of the front and back. Once pinned, you stitch at 1 centimeter this way and your sleeve is attached to both the armholes. Now once the sleeve is attached, we will now finish the side seam of the blouse. Now when stitching the side seam of the blouse, see to it that the armhole seam is facing the sleeve and stitch both side seams on right side at 0.5 centimeters from edge. So this way I have stitched at 0.5 centimeter. Once you have stitched at 0.5, turn the blouse on the inner side, iron the edge, and we will be doing 3 more stitch lines on the inner side. So first stitch line will be at 0.5 centimeter, then at 1.5 and then at 1 centimeter. So these are the 3 stitch lines that I have done on both the side seams. Now we will finish the center front with fasteners of hook and eye. So I will just show you how to place the hooks on either sides and do the marking for the hook and eye. First place at the neckline, then place the hook at the hem, then place the hook at the Basque curve, then place right in center of the blouse, and remaining hooks you have to place at equal distance. So use a measure tape and place all the hooks at equal distance. Once the hooks are placed, do the marking of each of the hook, and on the opposite side you will mark the eye. Now I will show you how to stitch the hook. For that, place the hook head at the edge of the button stand. Slip the needle between the hole, and we will be doing 4 to 5 buttonhole stitches in each of the hook loop. So starting from the inner side, take the needle to the outer part of the hook loop this way. Do 4 to 5 buttonhole stitches on each of the hook loops that are there. You can use a double thread. So I have done 4 to 5 buttonhole stitches in one loop. Now I will do the same buttonhole stitches in the other loop of the hook. Once the loops are done, we will now hold the head of the hook. For that, again, between the gap of the hook, do 4 to 5 buttonhole stitches so that you secure the head of the hook. This way you will finish all the other hooks that we have to stitch on the center front. Hooks are attached on the left side of the button stand. So if you see, my hook head is also secured, and this is how the final stitched hook will look like. Now on the right side, on the inner edge, do a basic stitch for making the eye for the hook. So just do a basic stitch of 0.5 centimeters, and on that basic stitch do buttonhole stitches from one end to the other. See to it that you are not catching the base fabric. So this way I will do buttonhole stitches from one end to the other and finish the hook eye. Stitch all the hook eye in same way. If you see, it is on the inner edge of the button stand. So this is how the hook eye will look. Now I have attached the hook and eye at equal distance on the button stand. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you have liked it as much as I did making this style of blouse. If you have liked the video, then please hit the like button. Do share with your friends and family and let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you still have not subscribed to my channel, I request you to please subscribe to it for more such videos. Until next time, take care and happy sewing.